There's a brand new photography conference on the block, and it's called Out of Chicago. Hey folks, I'm here with Chris Smith. Chris is the guy behind a conference that you may have heard about a couple of times on This Week in Photo. It's called Out of Chicago, and also they've also announced another conference called Out of New York. So I thought I'd bring Chris on to talk about a couple of things, you know. So obviously I'm going to be speaking at that conference, or both of the conferences, which is awesome. Thank you, Chris. But I want to talk about these conferences overall, and you know, just sort of some real talk about photography conferences and what people can expect from them, etc. So Chris Smith, welcome to This Week in Photo.
Thank you, Frederick. This is a real pleasure. This is crazy. I can't believe I'm on here. So thank you very much.
Yeah, I know. You're welcome. It's good to have you. It's awesome, you know, people and new faces and new ideas that come into the industry that keep things fresh over and over again. I mean, it's what keeps this industry interesting, you know, from a gear standpoint, from a tools online standpoint, and now from a conference standpoint. It's always something new, right?
That's right. Yeah, it's all about having fun, and that's what we're doing. So it's been good. Okay,
so the photography conferences in general, right? So we've got a group of them to choose from. So we've got WPPI, if you're in that group. We've got Photo Plus in New York, Kelby and Photoshop World. We've got the PMA thing. You know, there's a group of these conferences that photographers can choose from every year to kind of go and schmooze with other people and learn about the new gear, presumably from the manufacturers that show up there. Why another one? Why out of Chicago, out of New York?
Well, when I started this, and this will be our third year this summer, I never intended it to be ever mentioned in the same words as what you just said. That was never the point. The point was that we didn't have anything like this in Chicago. And so I'm a high school teacher, and I was never able to make it to any of those other events. And I kept thinking, I would just love to go to Photoshop World one year. I just can't. And I'd never make it because it would be during the school year. And as a teacher, you can't be like, well, I need like 3 or 4 days off this week. It just doesn't happen. So that's why I started it in the first place, and it just started to grow. And people were saying things like, "This is so great that you've done this for Chicago." But then people started to come from around the country. Last year, people were coming from around the world. We had people from the Caribbean and Europe come to Chicago, and people, instead of saying, "Thank you for doing it for Chicago," they're like, "We've never been to an event like this before." And I didn't even realize that I was doing something different. And what's different is that we're out shooting all the time. I mean, you're taking classes, but you'll learn from like Valerie, you know, our favorite. You'll learn from like Valerie Jourdain, and then she'll take you out on the streets and you're shooting with her. So, I mean, it's a special experience because you get to be with these photographers that you love, and then you go out and shoot with them. So that's what makes it great.
That's one of the things that attracted me to participating in this conference, is that it is different, and there's more hands-on and, you know, a workshop-y feel to it versus the trade show, roaming around looking at booths, and then you go to the breakout sessions or whatever. You know, it's a slightly different tack on that, or a very different tack on that.
Yeah.
So, what are some of the challenges with pulling something like this off? When I look at these conferences, I'm just like, I can't imagine the logistical nightmare that it is to build one of these things.
Yeah, well, you know what? It's kind of weird because I didn't do much. Well, I did consult with like Skip Cohen. He's helped with WPPI in the past, and he ran a Skip Summer School and all of that, and he helped me point me in the right direction. But other than that, like, I was just like, I don't know, how would I do it if I were running it myself? And I am. So that's exactly what I did. And it's the same thing. I remember when I started doing photo walks down in Chicago, when we first started Out of Chicago, and we were running photo walks, and people are like, "Wow, this is really cool the way you do your photo walk." I'm like, well, I never really thought about it. I've never been on one before. The first ones I'd ever been on were the ones I was leading. And the first conference I'd really been to was the ones that I was creating. So it was kind of, I just did it the way I thought would be best, and it's turned out great.
That's great. Yeah, that in a lot of ways. I mean, for not everything you want to go in, you know, blind like that. Like say leading a country, but you want to go.
Let's not go there.
Let's not go there. But you want to. It's a breath of fresh air when you come in with fresh eyes, and you can take a fresh tack on thing and not have not be contaminated by what has been done before, and feel like, okay, that's the way it needs to be done again, but here's my little spin. The whole thing becomes your spin, right?
Yeah. No, it's been great. I mean, I think the other thing that makes it different is that it's not the same people that have been teaching, for the last 10, 15, 20 years and doing the same thing. It's a lot of fresh photographers as well, just people that I follow, whether it's on Facebook or Flickr, Instagram. It's the photographers that I love, and like you, and on all the podcasts that are out there. So, and it's all these photographers that I admire that I'm bringing in, and it turns out that so many other people do as well. And so that's what's made this a little different too. And really our audience is a little different, that we're not, it's not wedding photographers. It's not, it's not a lot of professional photographers. It's people that are here because they love photography. They're very passionate about it. And yeah, like we'll have Lindsay Adler in New York, and we just had her at our portrait conference. And like, of course you'd want to learn, even if you don't want to do what she does, you would love to learn what she does to try it on the weekend or whatever. So we bring in great people, but most of the people that are attending the thing are here just because they love photography. Yeah.
I mean, so lovers and advanced amateurs, as we say in the corporate world, it's, the advanced amateurs and amateurs that show up, and pros, right? And to learn from the pros. So on the pro side of things, how are you able to attract all this amazing talent in there? I mean, looking at your roster, it's a who's who. Like, how did you pull that off?
Well, I don't know. I got you, Frederick. How'd you decide to do it?
Well, yeah, because it's awesome. That's why.
Yeah. Well, and how did you know that it was awesome? It's kind of a little bit of word of mouth, Yeah. The first year we did it, the photographers were so glad they did it. They were super excited about it. They told their friends. They told their friends. And so that was part of it.
That's what happened. Valerie, told me about it, and she's like, "Oh, it's amazing." And Chris is so down to earth, and it's I think she may have used the phrase, "It's a breath of fresh air" or something. So
good. Yeah. So that's a big part of it. And, there's, like I said, I'm bringing in a lot of photographers that aren't the people that are normally teaching, but and there may be people that have all these followers and people love them, but they're not sponsored by, these companies. And so they're super excited to come and teach. And some of them, some of the presenters we've had have never taught before, like we had the first couple of years. And they were just phenomenal because they're great presenters. They're super intelligent, but they never presented before. And all of a sudden it's like, oh man, they really put a lot of thought in. I mean, they just put so much work into their presentation because they just love it. And you can feel that they just love it. And some of them, it's the only time they present all year. So like they just get geared up for it.
And that's part of the big thing too, because, anyone who's gone to a couple of these conferences, you start seeing patterns in the chaos and the same names. And, which is not bad, because there's celebrities, and in a lot of cases, people go because I want to see these names and, maybe sit in the talk and shake hands with them afterwards and all that. But that's one side of it. The other side of it is there's a metric ton of talent out there that is unexposed. There's new people coming in. There's people doing Instagram stuff and Periscope stuff. And, there's all this new talent that's coming in that's not necessarily served well by bringing the same folks in over and over again, so, and by giving those folks a chance, you're planting seeds for new stars to show up, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And the other thing is that although we've grown every year, we've capped it, and we're basically sold out for Chicago this year. We might have a couple spots left. We can squeeze people in, but we've capped it at like 350 people. Photoshop World, all these other ones, it's 2,000, 4,000. It's a ton of people, all mass chaos. And we're in a place that has one kind of big room and 5 smaller rooms, and then the streets of Chicago. And it's I just remember someone saying, they're like, I can't believe that after Brian Peterson's talk, I got to sit and talk with him for 15 minutes afterward. This is Brian Peterson. He was the very first book on photography I ever read. And then he and I just sat there and chatted. It was amazing. So it's just because it's smaller, you get that kind of a special experience that you can't get at other places.
Yeah. Well, take me through that experience. So a day in the life. So someone shows up. Day one, what happens? Is it, let's say day one at, say, Photo Plus Expo, when I show up in there, I can expect long lines for registration and badging, and then I meander into to more crowds on the show floor, maybe look around there a little bit, then I go maybe sit into, if I'm not speaking, I'll go downstairs and sit into sit in one of the sessions or multiple sessions, and then maybe back to the show floor, then eating, then home, then drinking. You're right. So.
Yeah. So actually, a lot of those things are very similar. But I'll start by actually going back. You said, what are the challenges? The biggest challenge we probably have, and the only reason I've been able to do it is I've got someone helping me. I've got Michelle Kuhn helping me now to run all the registration. But rather than just signing up for a ticket to the show, you actually, when you sign up, you pick all of your classes. So session 1, I'm going to go do this, and I'm going to take a class with Brian Peterson. Session 2, I'd like to go out on the street and shoot with Valerie Jardin. And session 3, I'd like to see Frederick talk. And so you pick them all ahead of time. Some of them will be out on the street. Some of them will be in classrooms. So you have your schedule all figured out ahead of time, and you know where you're going to go. You can change it, whatever, if you need to, but that's figured out ahead of time. But yeah, like day in the life this year for Chicago, Friday night, Rick Salmon's giving the kickoff, the keynote, and then Saturday morning, we start early in the morning, and you could sign up for a really early morning class. We don't do sunrise ones because in June in Chicago, that's at like 4:30 in the morning. But you can go out and shoot like with Mike Moats. He's doing flower photography. And then you go, I think we go to like 5 different sessions of classes. And like I said, those could be out on the streets or they could be in a classroom. And then there's also time in between for that trade show. It's nothing like those other ones, but we do have, Canon and Fuji and Sony, Panasonic. Olympus is actually our headline sponsor. HDR Soft is the other one. They do, Photomatics. Yeah. So all those companies are going to be there, try out their stuff, and you can actually take the equipment. So let's say you're doing that class with Valerie and you're like, man, I've always wanted to try a Fuji. You go to the Fuji booth and you can check out a camera. You can check out a lens to go with it. And they're like, yeah, we're going to need your driver's license. And you take and wander the streets of Chicago with it and come back. Because our venue is right there in the middle of Chicago, and you can get to all the great locations just walking from there. So it makes it totally fun. Yeah.
See, and that's the way it should be. I mean, these things you should get excited about, and we've done shows on TWiP that examine the viability of trade shows. Like, why would you want to go somewhere and fly and then go sit in a class and then, go wander around these booths where you're going to see stuff that's already on the website, So why do that? And the net of those conversations is usually the camaraderie that you can't get from, staying at home and doing it by browsing a website. It sounds like you're doing that as well. So, but with another spin on it. So we'll have the camaraderie and the after session bonding thing, but then we'll also be able to take cameras out. We'll also be able to sit in sessions and learn, et cetera, et cetera. So, and today it's a smaller deal than those larger events, right?
Right. But I mean, if it's like you or some big name blogger and they're like, I need to report back on all this equipment, then yeah, you go to Photo Plus. That makes sense. And, head of Canon USA is there and you schmooze with them. But for someone that's a photographer that loves to shoot, you go here and you get in those classes with those photographers and then go out and shoot with this equipment. So the trade show is kind of a little bit of a different beast. They're not going to announce anything new at the Out of Chicago conference. Whoa, that's not going to happen. Yeah. But the new equipment that's come out, you get to go shoot with it, and you're shooting with these great photographers. Yeah,
it's almost like you're the TWiP trade show conference equivalent, right? Because TWiP doesn't break news, but we talk about it, and we're more of like I think of us as the Rebel Alliance if in the Star Wars universe, right?
Yeah.
We're the small ragtag, but we'll win at the end of the movie.
Yeah, and we love everyone. We're not fighting against anyone, right, Frederick? Right. We love everyone.
Yeah, there's no Death Star. Rebel Alliance with no Death Star.
Yeah.
But then you would need rebels. I don't know.
I know exactly what you mean, though. Yeah.
No, this is cool, man. Yeah, and I'm excited, like you said, to be talking. So I'm doing the session that I'm doing there, as you know, is I call it kind of a time traveler's toolkit kind of thing, where, because part of what I enjoy talking about is the other stuff that you can do with photography because of today's tools, like time lapse and stop motion and cinemagraphs and, these things that you can do with the stuff that you already have available to you. But how do you do it? How do you make some cool stuff out of that? So we're going to be doing that stuff in the session, and I think we're going to do some stuff on the street as well. So it should be really exciting.
Yeah, and I love the way you say it with what you're teaching, that, nowadays the technology is so great that people can get out there with their iPhone or with anything and they can get that straight shot. Like almost anyone can get that straight shot to end up looking good. But to do something way beyond that, the time lapse, or, to combine multiple images together, like that actually takes some skill. So to learn that and set yourself apart from everybody else is going to be important going forward.
Yeah, and it's not that hard too. I mean, it's like anything. I mean, a brain surgeon would say, "Hey, brain surgery is not that hard," until you know a couple little things.
Right.
It's the practicing that gets you with the brain surgery. So,
That's right. So take the class and you'll have it. So the conference in Chicago is June 24th, 25th, and 26th. That's Friday nights, all day Saturday, all day Sunday. Mm-hmm. But you are also doing these pre-conference workshops on the Thursday before and the Friday. So those are the days that you'll teach it and then go out and shoot as well. So we still have some spots open for that Thursday one. If you come in early, go to the Thursday event, and then there's the Friday, and then stay for the whole thing through Saturday and Sunday.
It's going to be fun. And by the way, Chicago's my hometown. So
that's right.
You can be hanging out with me in my hometown.
Showing us how to party. I'm ready.
Yeah, doing my job, what I love doing. And Out of Chicago, speaking of doing my job, we're going to record a full episode of this show, of This Week in Photo, there. Right?
That's right. Yeah. Oh, I'm super excited about it. So all the people that are TWiP guests, that you've had in the past, the people that are going to be there, they're all going to get together. Let's see if we can think of them all. So it's going to be you and Valerie, Rob Knight. I think Derek Story is going to be coming on as well. Yeah. I think Rick Salmon won't be around anymore, but he would have been. He'll
still be around. He won't be at the conference. So he's
he'll still be around. Yes. Steve Brokaw will be there as well. And all these people are teaching too. And a lot of them are giving workshops too. So, when you guys do your, have you done that before, where you do a TWiP when I said you can sign up for your classes, if you look, so this is going to happen on Sunday. So you sign up for your Sunday session. It's like session 4 or 5, and you're like, maybe I should listen to this. Oh no, I should go to the TWiP live session. And I'm trying to think. I think it's full, or it's really close to being full. It's not quite full. So
awesome.
So if you sign up, you can still get into that. But then you're sitting there and you listen to the whole thing, and
it's in the live recording too. We're going to take questions from the audience for the listener Q&A part. It's and this is the first time that we've ever done this live in front of an audience, panel discussion, me on stage moderating, herding cats,
That's what
herding
you do
cats
every day.
live.
Just usually just with your voice and not your hands. Now you
but I won't be able to click a button and mute anybody. It's going to be weird.
mute.
I know, okay, you're done talking. You're done talking. Okay, well, let's transition this into Out of New York. So Out of New York, is it a rinse and repeat of Out of Chicago, or are you put a different spin on it?
It's a good question. So, well, first off, I'm not sure why I did this. I think I read like a business book somewhere, and they're like, you should do the thing that scares you the most, that you think would be like the most impossible. And I'm like, of all the cities, which one would be like the most difficult one to pull off? Is like New York City. But at the same time, the most exciting to come to and to shoot. I'm trying to think. Chicago is great, but how many other cities in the country would be even more exciting to come to? And New York City is it. So is it rinse and repeat? Things about it will be a little bit different. It's October 14th and 15th. That's a Friday and a Saturday. So it's all day Friday and it's all day Saturday. And then we're going to do the workshops, but rather than be in a room in New York, our venue isn't open on Sunday. We're going to go out on Sunday, and they're going to be done 100% on the street. So people are going to be shooting. Because the point is, you come all the way to New York City. You didn't come to sit in a conference room. You came as a photographer to shoot. And that's the thing that's so different about planning this and a normal conference, I guess, is, these event people at the place, they're like, well, so you want to do some kind of event around like 6:30? I'm like, no, we're photographers. We want to be shooting. That's the great light. We got to get out there. So everything's planned around that, so that we're in a classroom for a little bit, but then you're out shooting, and you're out shooting at the right times of day as well.
Oh, that's great. That's
Yeah.
great. That's going to be phenomenal. So it is
and we-
not a rinse and repeat. This is a completely different, a
And we
completely
do have
different
some
dish.
of the same people. So if you're fans of Rick Salmon and Brian Peterson and Valerie and you, those they're both doing. Actually, you know who I missed for both of these is Steve Simon. Steve Simon's coming and doing both, and he's going to be doing workshops and taking people out in the streets as well. So
The passionate photographer, Steve Simon.
I mean, how do you not do that when I say we're a group of passionate photographers? You know, that come to this event. We got to have the passionate photographers
In New York. I mean, Steve Simon's a New Yorker and he's the passionate photographer. So.
Exactly. So he's going to be there, but we're going to have RC Concepcion. Lindsay Adler will be there. It's just going to be a crazy lineup of people, and your buddy as well, Ralph Velasco, will be there
Ralph,
teaching.
Yeah,
so
excellent.
the travel photographer.
Yeah, Ralph is aces when it comes to travel. That's for sure.
Yeah. So we have like 25 different 25 photographers for that one. We have like, this is out of control. Everyone's been yelling at me. We have like 45 people in Chicago, but we have like 25 come to New York, and it's going to be phenomenal. Yeah, I'm really excited about it.
It's going to be good. So what do you have planned for like after conference events? Is it like dinners? Is it on your own? Is it drinks? What's happening? I mean, we're in Chicago and New York. Come on.
We haven't figured it out for New York, but for Chicago, like just a block away from the place is a Bar Louie, and it's amazing. We love Mandy at Bar Louie. They open up the entire back room for us, and everyone piles in that wants to come. So you do your photo walks and then come back late in the evening, and that's a chance to hang out with all the photographers, kick back, have a drink, get a snack, and see how late you can make it. Make sure you can get up the next morning.
Bar Louie, because I have to make sure that it's within walking distance from my hotel.
Bar Louie in the South Loop. Yep. Yep.
I love it. Is that a chain? Is there a bunch of them?
It is a chain. Yeah, I know they have them in a couple other cities, but the people that run this particular one, they're phenomenal, and I mean, they just treat us great. Like I said, they just open up that whole back room for us, and they got the whole bar. It's like you're doing like a wedding rehearsal dinner or something, but with all your favorite photographers.
That's gonna be great, man. I can't tell you how excited I am. And the presentation I'm building is, I think it's going to be one of the best ones I've ever delivered. So,
nice.
Yeah, it's going to be a good time.
Excited.
And like I said, doing TWiP live from there is the first time. It may be the first of many, but this is the first one. So, it'll be that, is this going to work?
It's going to work. It's going to work. It's going to be great.
Yeah. It's going to be good. Cool, man. Well, thank you for taking the time. I know, it's a Friday afternoon there. It's almost Bar Louie time in Chicago.
Yep.
So thanks, Chris.
Thank you.
Congratulations on this conference. And, I know the amount of work that went into putting this thing, your demeanor is like, there's a lot of iceberg beneath the waterline in terms of all the work that went into this. So
right.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Thank you for putting this thing together. I think it's needed in the photography industry. And I'm not just saying that because I'm speaking there. I think it's, being able to have these different things to go to. It's important for photographers. And one of the things that mires new photographers and older photographers down is just, being staid and lackadaisical and not getting out and actually taking photos. These kind of events kick you in the butt and say, hey, go out there, have fun, get some great photos, and you get electrified again until the next thing, right?
Absolutely. And that's just the whole vibe around our thing. Like, you're not going here and you don't go home and you go, wow, I just learned a couple of great keystrokes for Photoshop. You go home and you say, I never considered doing architectural photography, and that's all I want to shoot now. That's what I hear from the people. Or they go see Mike Moats. I saw someone, they're like, I'm a street photographer, but I thought I'd take the flower photography with Mike Moats. And they're like, oh my goodness, that's my new thing. And so they just get totally jazzed about doing something new.
And that's the magic of photography, because when it comes down to it, it's all about light. Right. So,
that's right.
It's just a different, it's recording light on different subjects.
That's right. I always love it when you're talking about photons and all that. I mean, that's my thing, the physics teacher. So that's my deal.
We could talk for hours. Don't get me started on how two things I still don't understand physics wise is the speed of light and how it can remain constant no matter what, and gravity.
Right.
If I could just understand those two things and where they come from, I would be okay. So
yeah. I mean, it was crazy. We were sitting at Bar Louie when we did our portrait conference, and Lindsay Adler was sitting there, and she's explaining the inverse square law to like a group of us sitting around the table, and I'm like, yeah. You're right. I'm a physics teacher. You're exactly right. Good job. So yeah,
light falls off.
Yeah. No, she got all the equations and everything in there. So it was great.
Yeah. I mean, that's the mark of an excellent artisan / photographer when you understand. I mean, that's what got me started in photography.
She's a smart little girl. That's what it is.
Yeah. I mean, he's smart and geeky, and it's like the when you start getting excited about light and how it works and how photons are created and how they bounce and all that stuff, and then you're like, okay, of course I have to be a photographer now.
Right.
What else?
Exactly.
What else is there as magical as light? So I got to capture it.
For sure.
Well, thank you. So if people want to learn about Out of Chicago and the Out of New York conference, where should they go?
Yep. So you can go to outofchicago.com and it'll have links to all of it. If you want to avoid it altogether, there is outofnewyork.com and you can go straight there too. And that'll take you to the New York one. We're doing codes too, right? TWiP codes?
Yes. Yeah. What's the TWiP code? Is it? We better get it right because I got it wrong before.
And now that I'm trying to think about both of them. So for Chicago, like I said, there's just a few spots left. It's TWiP Chicago, and it's for $50 off. And for New York, it's TWiP. I'm going to say it's TWiP New York, and I'm going to change it if it's
there
not.
You go.
So it's TWiP New York for $100 off. So $100 off the full registration. So TWiP Chicago or TWiP New York, and that'll get you in.
Awesome, man. All right. Well, thanks a lot, Chris, and get on with your day, man.
I will. You too. Thank you, Frederick.
See you later.